Hello, my name is Sandy and I'm going to be giving a micro lesson today on simple past WH questions. My students are beginner level CLB1 and the context I'm going to be teaching it is within talking about the weekend and what they did on the weekend. So my students have already been introduced to simple past tense regular, irregular, affirmative, and negative. And they've also been introduced to asking questions in the simple present tense related to daily activities. So the rationale for using this type of context and teaching WH questions is that it's an essential skill for any ESL learner. Asking and answering questions in the past is an essential to obtain and transmit information that occurs daily. And the students will quickly realize how common it is to ask these types of questions. Okay, so good morning everyone. How was everyone's weekend? Good? My weekend was really good. I went out on Saturday night for dinner. I went out with my sister. And we went to an Italian restaurant named Umberto's and I ate lasagna. It was really, really delicious and I recommend that you all try it out one time. So I'm just going to write these on the board. So we already said that I went for dinner. I went to Italian restaurant and I ate lasagna. Now what about your weekend? What did you guys do? Tony, what did you do on your weekend? Oh, okay, went shopping. That's always fun. And what did you buy? If I can ask. Oh, exciting. Okay, you bought a TV. Okay. And where did you buy your TV from? What store? Future Shop. That's a good one. Really famous store to buy electronics. Thank you, Tony. Sevi, what did you do this weekend? Went to a friend's house. That's always nice and relaxing. And what did you do at your friend's house? Dinner. And can I ask you, what did you make? Spaghetti. Very nice. Perfect. So it sounds like we all had a good and eventful weekend. Now I want to see how good your memory is. I want to ask you all some questions, and as a class, you want to give me an answer. Now let's see who is really listening and really paying attention. Who can tell me what I did this weekend? Perfect, I went out to dinner. Who did I go out to dinner with? Yes, my sister. Does anyone can remember what did I eat? Perfect, lasagna. Okay, who can tell me what Tony did this weekend? Okay, great, he went shopping. And what did he buy? Yes, he bought a TV. Do you remember what store he bought it from? Perfect, Future Shop. Okay, and last one. Who can tell me what Sevi did this weekend? Perfect, she went to a friend's house. And what did they do? Yes, they cooked dinner. And what did they make? Perfect, they made spaghetti. Excellent, really good memory. Okay, so what was I asking you about? Yes, the weekend. And when did the weekend happen? In the past, perfect. So what is the function of the questions that I'm asking you? To ask about things in the past, exactly. I'm going to hand you out a little reading talking about Alice's weekend and what she did. It's really, actually, she had a quite exciting weekend. So you want to take about 10 minutes to go over the reading, and after that, we're going to go over some vocabulary, that may be new to you, and we're going to go through and ask some questions about Alice's weekend. Perfect. So now that we've all read and we know about Alice's weekend, and we went over all of the questions and really in detail what she did on the weekend, I want to show you all of the questions that we've looked at. And looking at all of these questions together, I want to see if you can tell me what is the formula to ask these types of questions. So we already know that we're asking questions about the past, but how do we form these questions? So if we take a look here, what can we see that all of these questions have in common? So if we look at the very beginning of all of the questions, here we start what, why, where, when, who, how, what, and what. Perfect. So they all start with WH questions. And just for one exception, we also have how. So we know that's how we start our questions, with WH questions. What comes next? What can you notice that comes next in our questions here? Perfect, the auxiliary. All of them, the second word would be the auxiliary did. What comes after our auxiliary? Can anyone see and notice? Yes, we're talking about the person, so we're talking about the subject, right? What did Alice? What did she? What did she? So we know the third part is the subject. And what comes after our subject? Excellent, our verb. In this case, do, go, get, eat. And we can see our verb is in the infinitive form. Excellent. So here we have our formula. WH questions or how plus did plus subject plus the verb in the infinitive form. Excellent. Now, as we have all said, all of these questions are talking about the past. However, there might be something that's a little bit tricky here. We can see that our verb stays in the infinitive form. Does anyone know why this is? So the reason that we leave the verb in the infinitive form is because our auxiliary did is in the past. Whenever we have an auxiliary in the past tense, our verb can stay in the infinitive form. For example, at the beginning of the class, I asked Tony, what did you do this weekend? Here we can say I had to use our auxiliary did, which is in the past. Therefore, I kept my verb in infinitive form. I also asked Tony, what did you buy? Again, because I'm asking a past tense question, I use my auxiliary, which is did, and my verb will stay in the infinitive form. I asked Sevi, what did you cook? Again, my auxiliary did is in the past, and my verb cook is in the infinitive form. So that's something important to remember when asking simple past questions. Excellent. So now let's move on to an activity. So if you see in front of you, I have given you all a sheet of paper. And on the sheet of paper is a chart of activities that different people did during the week. What you need to do, you're going to get into partners. And in your partners, what you are going to do is ask, past simple questions in order to fill in all of the information. Because if you notice, in your chart, there's some blank boxes for some days because we don't know what the person did on this day. Therefore, to obtain the information, you're going to need to ask your partner what they did so that you can fill in the schedule. We're going to do an example together so we can see what we need. Okay, so if we look at this example chart here on the board, number 1, we have our words where and go. What would the question be? What would our full question be? Remember, we can go back to our formula and refer to our formula in order to create these questions again. So, if we have where, go, remember that our formula always starts with a WH word. So we know we'll start our question with where. What comes after our WH word? Perfect, the auxiliary. So we would write out where did, what comes after our auxiliary? Exactly, our subject. At the top of the column here, you'll find the name. In this case, we're thinking about Nicole, so we know it's a she. Where did she, and what comes after the subject? Perfect, the verb. In this case, it's given to us. Where did she go? And there you have your first question. So this is the question that you would ask your partner, and they would give you the answer. Where did she go? And they would answer, in this case, she went to the beach. And so in Monday, you would fill in beach. Probably you could write the full sentence. She went to the beach. Perfect. Then you want to move on to question number 2. And here it starts with what time. So remember, we know we start with WH question. In this case, it's given to us. And the full question is what time. What comes after the WH question? Perfect, auxiliary did. What time did? After auxiliary, what do we have? Yes, she, our subject. And then we're looking for our verb. What time did she go? And this is, again, the second question you would ask your partner. If we look at the third one, we're starting with the question word, how. After how, what comes after our question word? Yes, our auxiliary did. Then we know it's our subject. How did she? Our verb is given to us, get. And you could fill it in with the information you already know. How did she get to the beach? And then your partner would respond, she got there by car. And so on and so on. So for each column, for different people, you're going to have 4 questions. These 4 questions, you want to make them a complete question in the simple past to ask your partner so that you can fill in all of your blank boxes. Does everyone understand what we're supposed to do? Good. Okay. Tony, could you tell me what we're doing then? What's the activity? Excellent. Okay. Excellent. So really good work today, guys. Just to recap and refresh our memories, what were we talking about today? Yes, simple past questions, WH questions. And who can quickly tell me what the formula is? WH words, yes, plus auxiliary did, plus subject, plus our verb in the infinitive form. Perfect. Good work today, everybody.